Welcome back. Today we'll be focusing on importing counterparties. Before we start importing our data, let's prepare our file. Each attribute of the counterparty information must be in different columns and each counterparty must occupy one row only. For example, if you're importing customer information from Pesto, it would be presented in an Excel file like this. Let me open up. And as you can see, now we have the name and the codes in the same column and the system won't accept it. We'll need to separate the name and the code. I won't do it now because I've already rearranged the file. So this is my file that I have already rearranged. And as you can see, we have supplier and customer code, name, registration number, VAT, registered yes or no, and so on. So you have to indicate whether the customer or supplier is VAT registered by using true or false. So yes, this is our information. And as you can see, everything is in its separate column. Now, the next thing that we have to do here is save it as a CSV because it's the only format that the system accepts. And as you can see, I've already saved it here as CSV, as you can see at the top. And that's why it looks like this, because it's separated with a comma. All right, now let's import this into the system. Firstly, I have to close my CSV file because I can't import it while it's open. And then log into the system, go to quick menu, getting started. Then I will click on the button that says import lists and documents. And this will open up the importing window. In the opened window, select what you want to import. In this case, it's customers and suppliers. And I will just say yes. As you remember, my source file contains headers. I don't want them to be imported, so I will select the first row of my source file contains the headers checkbox. Okay, there you go. Then you can also select what you want the system to do with the existing records, if you want them to update or ignore. I will select just update the existing records. And then I will also select the checkbox that says ignore blank fields because I don't want the system to import anything that is blank. Then I will select my file. As you can see, the system indicates that it has to be a CSV format. So I will choose my file. And there you go. And say OK. And then as you can see, the CSV preview and mapping window will appear. Here you can match the columns with the system attributes. Let's do it. Okay, let's say this one is the customer and supplier code. That is correct. And that one is the name. That one is the registration number. This one is the VAT registration. Here we have the VAT number. Here we have the website. Then we have email. Then we have the address. Address 2. We have the city. We have the country. As you can see, this country is indicated by a code, and this is the code of countries that has already been created in the system. So before you import, just make sure that your country's code is in the system. And lastly, the zip code. Here you go. Okay, so we've mapped everything, and now we will just say save and close. You can always access this window later and make changes by clicking on Show CSV and Mapping. Now let's have a look at the tabular section. The required fields on the tabular sections are those fields that will be filled in anyway. Make sure all required fields are populated. Key fields in the field that hold the unique data and identifies the records from all records in the database. If you don't want to import some columns, you can select the Do Not Import column. You can also specify the default values for some attributes if required. So for example, we have here, when it says whether if it's a customer or a supplier. Now we need to select this. So therefore, here, I will click on default value. I will double click and I will select customer, supplier, or both. In this case, this is just customers. So I'll say okay. Then if we scroll down, we will see that it's now asking us for certain accounts. And in this case, we need an AR account for our customers, an accounts receivable account. So I will double click on default value and select my accounts receivable account from my chart of accounts, which in this case is our customer control account. All right, then when you're done, once you have this information, before I move on, I just want to mention something that it's quite handy. So for example, this tool over here, use billing address for shipping address. So if the billing address and the shipping address is the same and you don't want to keep entering the information again and again, then you can just select yes, meaning that whatever is in the billing address will be the shipping address as well. All right, so now we can click on Prepare Data to continue our import. We need to check if the data looks correct before we proceed, and I think it does. It looks correct. And we can proceed, and then let's click on Check Data, and you will see if everything was correctly loaded. All right, there you go. We can see that it failed 0. Then click back to Data Preview, and then click Import Data. Then the system will tell you if the import was successful, and it also allows you to check the results. Here you go. You can check the results here. And here you will see the list of all your counterparties, in this case, your suppliers and your customers, and you can see the ones that you have imported here at the bottom, in this case, Discount, Pick and Pay, Woolworths, and Checkers. Okay, for the suppliers, it's the exact same thing, and if your customer is both a supplier and a customer, it's also the exact same thing. All right, you can also open it up if you want to add more information and yeah, fill in things that you didn't have at the time that you were importing. That's it for now. The counterparties are imported. Bye for now.